There's always a time where I like to look back and reflect on my life and where it all went downhill. My checkpoint currently is when I decided to make this YouTube channel. I also reflect by looking back at a lot of my older videos. Way back in the day, I didn't have a capture card or good editing software. Hell, back then I didn't even edit or sometimes even play the game in question all the way through. Because I'm fucking stupid. Which is what resulted in such gems like my Sonic Heroes and Rise of Lyric videos. Hence why I started re-reviewing games, giving a fresh perspective on them while also having better writing and jokes. And by writing, I mean the writer in my basement. But there has always been one game in particular that I have been meaning to re-review for the longest time. A game that I once called
mediocre.
Ladies and gentlemen, for the Halloween special here on Horror Kid the Reviewer, I'm diving back into the world of Yarnum as I re-review Bloodborne.
Oh, I got dead again. This game stinks.
Enjoy the show. Hello everyone and happy Halloweeners and welcome to a brand new re-review. Now, I must warn you, our review today will be particularly scary. See, there are some crybabies out there who shouldn't be on fucking YouTube that will find this disturbing. If you're one of those people, click off, you chicken. This is why I'm still a relatively small channel. For those who are still here, tonight I am taking a round 2 look at Bloodborne. Now, Bloodborne is an action RPG developed by FromSoftware and published by Sony Computer Entertainment. It was released exclusively, as of right now, for the PlayStation 4 in March of 2015 before getting DLC in the form of The Old Hunters, which was released in November of the same year. Now, as stated in my original Bloodborne video, I was completely unaware of this game's existence, mostly because when the game came out, I was 12 at the time and had no clue what a Dark Souls game even was. I had no idea what fresh hells awaited me. It wasn't until I played Dark Souls 3 back in circa 2016 or 2017 where I became a dedicated fan of the series. Hell, I even went as far as to double dip with Dark Souls 3 by purchasing the Fire Fades edition for PS4 back in 2022. Now, I got Bloodborne around 2021 when it was on sale for around $15. Back then, I didn't enjoy the game that much, and you could tell in the original video if you could get past the awful sound mixing that puts the ports of Sonic Adventure 1 and 2 to shame.
Rouge, I cannot hear you!
But now I played through Bloodborne again for this video for what, the third or fifth time total? So let's answer the question. Is Bloodborne any good? And is it a game I could recommend to you? Let's find out. I played this game 5 times. Oh, God, I need a girlfriend. I'll take a robot at this point for fuck's sake. I'm gonna hook them up.
Do it! It'd be funny.
Alright, so Bloodborne takes place in the fictional Gothic Victorian era inspired city of Yarnum, but you could just call it Hot Topic, where our player character is in search of something called pale blood. What is it? I got no clue. It's said to be a mysterious element, which is code for we never came up with an answer, so I'm just going to call it the MacGuffin. Upon signing a contract, we wake up and the city of Hot Topic is in complete chaos as something called the Night of the Hunt is happening, where beasts emerge and the citizens try to fend them off. We have that nowadays. It's called FurryCon. Ain't that right? Odd ones out. Wait a minute. During our journey, we meet this old geezer named Gurman, who is basically our token old guide. Breaking new grounds here, ain't we? Over time, we tend to meet more and more freaky-ass creatures, and it's not until we defeat the boss Rom where the true horrors of Bloodborne are unleashed upon the world. Roll credits! After defeating the boss known as Murgo's Wet Nurse, what the fuck? We return to our main hub, the Hunter's Dream, only to see Gehrman's Workshop aflame, and from here, one of 3 endings play out. You know what? It's not fast cock and balls. It's not fast cock and balls. I can handle this. If we accept Gehrman's offer of him releasing us from the dream, we get the Hot Topic Sunrise ending where Gehrman kills us, and we wake up back in Hot Topic where the sun is rising. Ending 2, known as the Honoring Wishes ending, sees us declining Gehrman's offer, and we fight him in a one-on-one boss fight with what is quite possibly one of my favorite final boss themes in all of gaming. Upon defeating Gehrman, a creature known as the Moon Presence pretty much puts us in Gehrman's place. And the final ending, known as Childhood Beginnings, does require a bit more knowledge of the game. It's not fast cock. It's not fast cock! See, over the course of the game, we can find 1/3 of umbilical cords, the fuck! And at first, they don't seem to do much. But after defeating Gehrman, and if you ate all 3 cords, no, seriously, the fuck! To quote another burnt out person,
That is how you get ulcers!
we are met with the Moon Presence again, but this time the Moon Presence is the final boss. After killing the Eldritch Abomination, we essentially become something called an Infant Great One.
Yeah, I've seen this before.
Hey on Skips, it's not the thing you're thinking of. It looks like a slug. A slug. Am I tripping balls right now? And I know I expect all of you to see me talk about the Old Hunters DLC, but I'm gonna save that for like a YouTube short in the future. But either way, that ends Bloodborne. And that was the story. Overall, while it may seem like I described this game with an overarching plot, when you play the game yourself, the story is very minimal. This is honestly something I like when it comes to FromSoftware storytelling. It's not the story that keeps people coming back to the games, it's more so the lore of the games that keep people interested, even with the likes of Elden Ring. It kind of reminds me of early FNAF, except if FNAF was more Lovecraftian and Bram Stoker inspired. Yeah, this is honestly one thing I really like about Bloodborne as a whole. Confirmed by Hidetaka Miyazaki, director of the game, he was inspired by horror writers such as the aforementioned Bram Stoker, aka the man behind Dracula, and Howard Philip Lovecraft, better known as H.P. Lovecraft, aka the man behind the Cthulhu mythos. And not only can you see the inspiration behind the 2 authors from the minimal story, but also with the themes it tackles, such as outerworldly and cosmic elder gods. So, yeah, overall, the story and lore are pretty well crafted. But, is the gameplay any good? Gameplay of Bloodborne has us in control of our custom created character known as the Hunter. And I could just hear the odd ones out screaming as I speak. Name of the game is Explore, Fight, Pick up items, fight bosses, and die. A lot. Now, unlike Dark Souls 1, 2, and even Demon Souls, Bloodborne's combat is a lot more fast-paced compared to the Souls games that came before it. It has a higher emphasis on being aggressive, and you can also see it in your player character dodge animations whenever you're locked onto an enemy. In the older Souls games, you just roll from side to side, but in Bloodborne, you're pretty much strafe dodging like this is Ratchet Deadlock. Or for you old people, it's like the Matrix. Hey, if Hollywood can't let it go, I'll exploit it too. Oh wait, Hollywood can't let go of anything. Why the fuck are we bringing Barney back? Another emphasis on the game's aggressive playstyle is the rally system. Whenever you get hit, you get a small sliver of orange on your health bar. If you decide to grow a pair and strike back, you get back your lost health. Now, while yes, enemies and especially bosses can hit like tanks, you can still get your health back and save up on blood vials. They basically replace the SS flasks from DS1 and 2 and behave more like the edible grass from Demon Souls. You know, I just realized something. This franchise must sound weird if you never played these games. And if that's the case, dude, why the fuck are you getting your sources from me? The only thing less reliable is Wikipedia. Now, the way how you level up is by collecting blood echoes, basically the equivalent of souls. Once you feel like you collected enough, you could go to the doll in the Hunter's Dream and use her to level up. She's essentially like the Emerald Herald from Dark Souls 2 and later the Firekeeper from Dark Souls 3. There is a secondary kind of currency of the game known as insight. The way how you get insight is just by exploring the game and defeating enemies and especially bosses. You can also get insight by finding Madman's knowledge, Great One's wisdoms, and those aforementioned umbilical cords. The only thing insight amounts to is letting you purchase otherwise rare and expensive weapon upgrade materials, such as the Blood Rock, which you can only get once or twice per playthrough, allowing you to max out your weapon. And speaking of weapons, this segues perfectly into how weapons behave. They basically have two forms, a basic form and a trick form. Honestly, I just stick with the basic form, because I'm a basic ass bitch.
Wow, what a loser.
But also because the trick form tends to not be that good, that I barely, if not use it at all during my playthrough. Now, since this is a Souls game, there is of course multiplayer, which I would say I recorded, but barely anybody plays Bloodborne. Can't say I blame them. Oh yeah, and also,
I got no friends, and neither do you. You got no friends.
but more like the only way to play the game officially is by having a PS4 or a PS5, and most people I know don't have that.
Last time I got a hug, I was 17.
There is also something known as the Chalice Dungeons, which are optional areas you can explore for better equipment and gems you can slot into your weapons for better stats. It's literally the Golem shit in Cuphead, complete with the name being Chalice. If I had a nickel! This is also the only way you get to fight the optional boss Queen Yarnum, the Thumerian Queen. But thanks to the power of the Souls community, they were able to edit the dungeons and thus allow us to see stuff that were cut from the game, as well as give us the ultimate way to farm blood echoes, known as the cum dungeon. I wish I was joking, but that's the actual name people have given it. We like to have fun here in the Soulsborne community. Ooh, how this works is that you just spawn in with a scary low amount of health and a high level enemy basically kills itself and you get about 80k blood echoes. But wait, you could also use something known as runes, which also augment your character stats, such as having a higher attack at full health or being able to carry more blood vials or bullets for your gun. But most importantly are the moon runes, which increase the amount of echoes you get, having the highest tier of moon runes. And congrats, you have broken Bloodborne. And yeah, Bloodborne is what I like to consider on par with the original Demon Souls as one of the easiest Souls games if you know what you're doing. Now, the bosses. Oh my god, the bosses. The boss fights are just so damn fun. I know I didn't fight all of them, specifically looking at you, Queen Yarnum, but a majority of them, except one looking at you, Miko shit, are incredibly fun to fight. Even Rom, the vacuous spider, despite the fact that I am an extreme arachnophobe, I still had a fun time fighting Rom. But seriously, something like this can only exist in Australia. I know I said I'll go over the DLC in a later video, but one of my favorites have to be Lady Maria! In fact, all the bosses where you fight against another human or humanoid enemies are some of the most fun boss fights in the game. Father Gascoigne, before he turned into a werewolf, was fun. The Shadows of Yharnam, despite it being essentially a 1 vs 3 gang fight if you were not to use summon, was tricky yet fun. I already mentioned Lady Maria, but also Gurman, especially if you look deep into the lore of the game. My apologies, I just really love the bosses when it comes to the Souls games. So, yeah, overall, the gameplay is super fun, and the bosses are the perfect blend of challenging, but not borderline frustrating, unlike some games! Visually, I absolutely love it. I am a sucker for Gothic architecture, which is honestly why I sort of dig games like the Castlevania Lords of Shadow trilogy, which, don't worry, I will eventually get to. You may think that makes me an edgelord, but if you think so, hi, welcome to the channel. I always kind of have been. I also really love the twisted and disturbing Lovecraftian creatures you eventually see in the late game. Yep, I'm specifically talking about the amygdalas. Holy shit, these things are fucking creepy to look at. And you even fight one as a boss! Like, what the actual shit were the people at FromSoftware on when they were making some of these bosses? Because I want some of that, please.
Buddy, what are you smoking, and can I have some?
As for OST, in that good old FromSoftware fashion, for the most part there is no music, other than for the main hub of the Hunter's Dream and the boss fights. And holy shit, the music used for the boss fights are fucking insane for the most part, especially when it comes to something like the Moon Presence and especially Mikolash. But the biggest out of left field when it comes to the boss music has to be with Gurman's theme. Much like what I said in my Dark Souls 1 video, for the most part when it comes to final boss themes, they're usually more grandiose and bombastic, like In the Final from Bowser's Inside Story, One Winged Angel from Final Fantasy VII, or hell, the final boss theme against Cursa from Sparks of Hope. But what do I expect? That one had help from the composer of Kingdom McFucking Hearts! But in Dark Souls 1 as well as Bloodborne, the final boss themes for Gwyn and Gurman respectively have a more somber feel. Hell, later in Gurman's boss fight, it even has a somber Latin choir. Same goes for the Moon Presence, but the tempo of the theme makes the Moon Presence feel like prey, and you're the boss it's trying to defeat. An incredible juxtaposition compared to the rest of the game's boss fights. Now, let's recap. I think the story, while minimal, is amazing. Gameplay is just so damn fun! Visually, oh my god, I never wanted to go to Romania so fucking bad in my life, and OST, oh sweet mother of god, I have ascended. This is so fucking good! Let's wrap this up with my closing thoughts, shall we? Now? Wow. Just wow. Never in my life have I had a game that I once called mediocre now be crowned and have a place in my list of top 10 favorite games ever made. This game is just amazing. The lore of the game alone is phenomenal. The gameplay is what I consider a lot more friendly, or at least as friendly for Souls game standards compared to the defense-heavy Souls game of old. Visually, this is still my favorite Souls game from an artistic standpoint, and it's only backed up by an amazing OST. This game may only run at 30 FPS even on a PS5, but I am already made it clear that I don't care about frame rate as long as the game itself is fun to play, and to me, this is a damn fun game. In fact, this is the first ever Souls game I got the platinum for. My only main criticism is that it's, as of right now, console exclusive. I know that there's a very passionate community of people who are trying to get this game running smoothly under a PlayStation 4 emulator, which still blows my fucking mind that we are emulating the goddamn PS4. But, as of right now, this game may be lost to the annals of being one of the best consoles exclusive. Unless Sony actually decides to listen to the fans and actually port this game to PC or give a proper remaster it deserves.
Like that's ever gonna happen.
So, overall, Bloodborne gets my new score of a 9.5 out of 10. But now, I want to know from you all. Did you play Bloodborne? What did you think of it? And is it a game you would recommend to a friend? Please leave your answers and more down in the comments. Give this video a like if you enjoyed it. And while you're here, consider subscribing and turn on the bell to be notified whenever I make a new video. As always, my social media links are down below. I've been Horror Kid, and happy Halloween, everybody.